So first question, um, what is your education story as far as you know, kind of like high school, college background, and when when you decided to get your doctorate?
To when I was in high school?
Yeah, kind of like your general background of what led you to from high, kind of like from college to get your doctorate.
Yeah, so growing up, I was sort of an at-risk child. Um, my dad ended up going to prison when I was in the 8th grade. My mom had remarried a guy that used to sort of beat her. Um, I lived in an area where I was the only white person. It was all African American, um, really gang related area, a lot of drug sales. Matter of fact, I used to ride my motorcycle to get home every day by this corner, and like 50 guys would step out and try to sell me something. And the people that knew me would be like, "That's Trucker, get away, get away." I went to a junior high where 3 busloads of white people were bussed in. It was all pretty much African American, Hispanic. And same thing with my high school. And I always tell people one of the only reasons I sort of made it was due to sports. That's the one thing I can remember I got from my dad was sort of a drive never to quit. And I played football, elementary school, junior high, high school. And I tell the story of this to my students. The last day of my senior year, when I started my freshman year, there were 32 guys that I had played with in junior high. And my senior year, there were 22 of us still playing together. And there was about another 10 or so seniors, but we were all set in the end zone the last practice, and the coach said, "Look around, only one of you will go on and play college football." And I ended up being one of those 3 guys. And when that comment was made by the coach, someone yelled out, "Well, it won't be Trucker because he won't graduate." And I ended up going to the junior college. I played football. It took me 6 years to get through the junior college, which was in Bakersfield. I transferred out to the Cal State. And how I knew I wanted to be a history major was I was involved in church all through high school, and I got an opportunity through the youth pastor to sort of start working with junior high kids, and we built this junior high ministry up. And he ended up leaving a year or so after high school, and I got asked to be the intern youth pastor. And that lasted about 6 months, had it out with the pastor, and I actually left the church for 20 years. And so I remember saying, I was good at that. I was good at teaching history to those kids when most kids aren't interested in history. And you do that by making it come alive, making it real, making it relevant. And so I knew right off, I want to be a history major. And so that's what I did, graduated. And then I had an opportunity a few years after I played football to become an instructional aide at our juvenile hall. And I just continued with that. And then I became a campus supervisor in one of our county community schools, and then graduated, and bam, one of the principals picked me up as a teacher. And I knew I wanted to go in administration. I always had that leadership trait. And so I think in the next year after I started teaching, I went into the administration and became a assistant principal and a principal. And I've worked for, this is my 5th district now. And I had 17 years at the first district where I was an aide and campus supervisor and teacher and so on. And I back in 2008, I left that first district. And at that time, I wanted to be a doctorate. And then I was at another district for 2 years, and then I was at another district for 2 years. And I remember looking back into it, and the prices had like doubled and tripled. And I was like, oh, forget it. And so then I went to my 4th district, and I did something a lot of people don't do, and that is I actually went back into the classroom as a teacher. And so that was sort of one of the best years I'd ever had, because up to that point, it was all on the county side, alternative ed. And I was really tired of it. And the reason is because in alternative ed, all the laws that are passed are for regular comprehensive school districts. And I'd worked for the county side, and you still have to jump through all those hoops, even though they don't pertain to you. And so you get burned out on all the politics. And so I went into the classroom. It was actually out of state. And it ended up being an alternative classroom for junior high kids who were ED. And I loved it. It was great. And after that year, I came back to California, got picked up by Santa Ana Unified, and lo and behold, they picked me up and put me at one of their alternative schools. And then I was there for 4 years, and then I moved to a continuation school. And so it was that first year being here at Santa Ana Unified 5 years ago. Um, the school had never been WASC accredited. And so we went through the process. And in the end, we ended up writing, about 120-page document. And someone joked with me that you should go get your doctorate. You just pretty much wrote a dissertation. And so at the time, our superintendent, 2 of our deputies, 3 of our assistant soup, several principals, they're all USC doctorates. And so I looked into it, and then I kind of took a different approach from most people, and maybe this is my sports background, but I sat down and I listed the top 5 colleges when it comes to bringing in money. And my rationale for doing that was the more money they bring in, the more programs and opportunities they're going to have. And of course, in the top 5, USC is up there. And then I cross-referenced and said, who has an online program? And USC was the only one out of those top 5. And so that's why I picked USC.
Wow. I just got to tell you the reason why the series is called Destination Dissertation. And so full disclosure for people who watch this, haphazardly at an AVID conference this summer, I was getting ready to start the USC doctoral program, and I saw you with the USC shoes on. I was like, let me see if he's a Trojan. And so I just had a quick conversation with you, never knowing we would end up talking again. But I just got to tell you some things that what you said that are like strikingly eerie and similar between us. Very similar backgrounds growing up. I also was a youth pastor. Also left the church many years based on that situation. I think I have the same T-shirt you have. I moved around for many districts, but the first district I was in there for 16 years. And then I moved around, and I was in leadership, went back to the classroom 1 year in the ED class, and it was the best thing ever for me as I went back to leadership. So we have a ton of things in common. So I just want to tell you, man, I really, your story is super refreshing. And I love the fact that, kind of my life, everything hasn't been cookie cutter, and I can tell
Sure.
from yours, you've been able to overcome adversity.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I think that's the greatest thing working with alternative kids. I always tell them, you don't have to relate to that person. I like to bring in people you don't relate to at all, because I want you to try to listen to other people and take what they have to offer. But at the same time, when you can relate to them, you end up having that big heart for them, and you're able to show them that love and hope that they don't ever get from anywhere else. So.
That's awesome. Okay, next question.
Yep.
And even how you selected your doctoral program and needing it to be online, same thing. Very, very similar. Let me get to the core of kind of the start of the conversation is your dissertation. Sure. How did you come about, what is your dissertation focus, and how did you come about deciding on it?
So my dissertation is the problem with implementing multiple tiered systems of support in school districts. And, like most people, when I joined the cohort, I started the dissertation, I didn't know what I wanted to write on. I knew it would probably end up being something I'm passionate about. And so I took that 603 framing class and did what we're supposed to do. We came up with 3 different problems of practice. And it was all kind of in the realm of my dissertation. One was on social emotional learning. One was on restorative practices. And the third one ended up being on trauma-informed care. And I actually started going with that and got into the second semester and started, I was continuing. So, I mean, most of my chapter 1 had been written all around trauma-informed care. I had so much research in that. And I happened to be at a conference and saw a picture of multiple tiered system of support with the umbrella. And the reason that struck me, because in 620, which is the innovation class that you take the first semester, I had done a video and I had used an umbrella and popped it up in the interview. And so, and I was continuing with that. And then I saw that picture of that umbrella being that overarching thing for MTSS. I was like, that's what I'm talking about, really. And so I literally had to start and redo all my research again. And because then social emotional is now in there, and restorative practices is now in there, and then you bring in the RTI part. And so, and really, it's what I said a minute ago, right? It's something I've been doing all my life in alternative ed. So
Cool. And last question is the possibilities. What I love about dissertations that have the power of the future is the possibilities. So what do you see yourself in the next 5, 10 years doing with your work that you put in the dissertation? How do you envision yourself using it moving forward?
my next goal is that I want to move out of being a continuation principal, and I want to be a comprehensive high school principal. And one of the big reasons I want to do that is because, and I want to actually move to sort of a more high performing school. And the reason is people think that only the low performing schools, the kids that have the most social emotional needs, that's the only place this works. And you'd be surprised. Those kids at the high performing schools have the same social emotional needs. They just don't let them affect them in their academics. And so I want to move to a high performing school, be a principal, and bring this with me. And I think that school could even then go further with that. And then I want to be an assistant superintendent and a superintendent eventually. And this isn't going away. It's going to get bigger, implementing MTSS in schools. And I'm lucky that on my committee, I actually have an ex deputy soup who's a superintendent now. And when I did my proposal defense, he actually recommended, instead of using Clark and XC's influences, that we change it to barriers, because he believes educators will be able to relate to it more with the word barriers in there instead of influences. So that's something that we did.
That's really cool. So when was your defense?
I actually am about a semester late compared to others, so I
Okay.
just had my hair in January.
Okay.
And we just got a new superintendent, and he came to my site on Thursday, and he said in the fall he's actually going to make all the principals read my dissertation as part of his book club. So that's kind of cool.
Congratulations. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much for making time. This is Destination Dissertation. You've been listening to Trucker Clark. And Trucker, if there's anybody that wants to watch this video, anyone that watches this video and wants to get in contact with you on your work with just all the different levels of what you're doing with your dissertation, do you have a LinkedIn or a Facebook or email that you want them to contact you with?
I do. You can find me on Facebook. I'm listed as Trucker Clark. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Twitter. And then, I'll throw out my work email, and that is trucker.clark@sausd.us. And I'm on LinkedIn too. I don't get on there too much, but it's all Trucker Clark. And I'm getting ready to create an additional page and probably call it a Principal Trucker Clark. Make that one more professional, even though all my social media, I use it for both. There's nothing inappropriate on there. So feel free to reach out if I can help anyone. I would love to.
All right. Well, thank you. And I apologize, Dr. Trucker Clark.
Not yet.
Not yet?
No,
When,
that was just my proposal defense in January. Okay. And so I'm hoping late April to do my final defense. And I'm in this here March and April would be really busy finishing my research, and then my data collection, and then writing chapter 4 and 5. So
awesome. Well, we know you're gonna get it done, and congratulations on what you've done so far, not just in your studies but in the schools you serve. So thank you so much, sir. Want to give you a fight on.
Fight on, Jerome.
And thank you for making time.
Thank you.